Do I think they are?
Yeah, along the front and along with their nose and their size in that area.
I don't know. I mean, maybe by outside sources, but not by us. I mean, I think that they're an older group. Typically, when you're older, you're better. I think they're physical, especially the guys that put their hand on the ground. I think they're extremely physical. I mean, I don't think they're underrated at all by us viewing it. I mean, maybe from the outside, but I don't know what that viewpoint is anyway, so I couldn't tell you.
Shannon, one thing Dana mentioned that feel like need to work on the offense is getting more explosive plays, particularly for touchdowns. What have you seen, and how do you feel like you need to go about working with the kids, blocking, and just being able to get that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think blocking down the field and run game is going to help that. But I do think the nature of the defense some people play today, with playing safeties back, I mean, a lot of times we're not getting a whole lot of deep shots, And so with that being said, you're going to have to catch things underneath, and you gotta get past that next level of the defense. And so it was frustrating last week, and I know what Dana's alluding to was just we were getting tackled by our feet a lot. We got to pick up our feet and run through tackles and make big plays. And so it's not like we're sitting here, making a huge emphasis on it, but there are certain situations in a game that we feel like we can do better when it comes to blocking down the field in the run game, and those receivers just really getting out of arm tackles, when they can break through that back level of the defense.
You guys only converted like 80% of your third
Here
downs
we
last
go.
week. Can we talk about that other 20%? Bowie, coming in off the bench, for a guy like that, I'm taking advantage of limited opportunities.
Yeah.
What did you see out of him? And just going forward, Juwan was talking about him being in the mix to be that third back right now.
I definitely think that's what you want to see. I mean, that room's competitive. We all know that. And so the biggest thing those guys can do that are not playing as much as they want to play is make our job hard, make our job hard. Don't make it easy, And so I thought Bowie did. I mean, he went out there, and how many ever carries he got? He ran hard. He was positive. Everything's, was going well for him, and I thought he went out there and produced. And so when you produce, you're going to get a chance to produce more. And so don't be delusional and go out there and make our jobs harder. It's very simple.
Coach, for as lopsided as that game was last year against Maryland, does that make it any more motivating in the coaching staff's office?
I don't think any more made it more. I mean, we're gonna prepare for the game the same way. Do we know in the back of our mind that we got our ass whipped last year? Yes. Do we know the score? Yes. So I mean, but every year is a different year. It really is. I feel like we're a different team this year. I don't think anybody's got to remind our players what happened there last year, or I think anybody's got to remind our fans what happened there last year. So, we're not going to overly stress that to the point where, that it's bigger than the game, because it isn't. This is a new game. It's going to start off 0-0. It's not going to start off with the score that ended last year. And so it's a whole new game. It's a whole new team. So I mean, typically as coaches go, we try to prepare the same way every week, and so it's been no different this week. The week hadn't started yet.
Now you've been here for a few years. Do you feel like Maryland's the biggest rival West Virginia has left on the schedule?
Regionally, I think so. I mean, I think we're fighting to get more regional rivals on the schedule, regional games on the schedule. But as far as the one that's been consistent for the most years regionally, I think it definitely is.
Dana mentioned today that Williams is the number 2 guy.
Yeah.
How do you see him evolving in this offense and the way you guys can use him?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I think when he goes on the field, you can see that he brings a different element to the game. And so, there's always parts of every player that you got to improve. And so he's nowhere near a finished product yet. He's raw in a lot of areas, but mentally and physically, competing-wise, he's what you want. And so, that decision was made to play him and try to redshirt Paul, which I think was a good one. And it was the right decision, no doubt. And so we're just going to keep giving him reps and see what he can do. We're going to, with the difference in what he brings to the game versus other quarterbacks, there's always going to be packages that we can use for him. Regardless of whether we choose to or not, is up to us.
Because it makes it difficult for opponent, right? To have to prepare for both.
I think so. Maybe, you have to ask them. But, I just think that he brings a different element to the game, for sure.
Is there any more of a pull to try to get him to see some more action this week before Big 12 play kicks off?
No, not really. I mean, that doesn't factor into the, into our minds. I mean, there's no quarterback competition, put it that way. I mean, we got a kid that's playing extremely good, and then we got a young kid that's extremely talented and's got a bright future, and that's the way we view it. We're going to continue giving Crest reps, and if it gets to the point where we got to put him in the game, then we better have a package of plays that he can produce.